UFC 301 finished last night, and Steven Erceg was brutally robbed. There needs to be an investigation in Brazil immediately. I do not know how you can watch that fight and not give it to him. That is insanity to me. Plus, the Malaki stoppage was early. Anyone with two eyes could see that. It was obviously an early stoppage. Malaki was just getting his second wind. I'm kidding. Yeah, I watched it back. I don't know how people are freaking out over this. I really don't. Let's get right into this. Steven Erceg versus Alexandre Pantoja. Okay? There is a lot of people online screaming brutal robbery, brutal robbery. I don't see it. You know, I'd love to see it. I'd love to be like, wow, an Aussie champion, undisputed, he didn't get his win, should be an Aussie champion. We got robbed, but I just really do not see it. I saw that fight being a super close fight. And even me, myself, who has made videos on people not understanding the scoring criteria of MMA and damage-based scoring, this is how I break it down when I read the rules. Round 1, Pantoja. Round 2, really close, but Pantoja. Round 3, really close, but Erceg. Round 4, Erceg. Round 5, very close on the feet. When it was on the feet, it was very close. And then Pantoja got all of that control time. Did he do any damage with all of that control time? No, he didn't. But in the rule set, if the striking is close, if the damage is close on the feet, that is when you go down to the second or third scoring criteria, and that is when you look at control time. Pantoja won this fight by just the smallest of margins. By a bee's dick, he won this fight. By the tiniest of margins, Pantoja won this fight. And Erceg knows that he won this fight. Erceg's team knew that he won this fight. Bedtime, I'm sorry that you lost this fight, mate. You know, I'll catch you at the pub. We'll have a drink over it. It sucks, but it is what it is. What really hurts the most is that Erceg lost this fight on Erceg's own fight IQ, and he knows that as well. He knows that there was one round in it. DC was rubbing salt into the wound on the microphone afterwards, saying, did you know how close you were to winning this fight until you threw that takedown? I understand why Erceg went for the takedown. He was getting out of the scrambling all night long. You know, Pantoja would grab him, try and hold him down, hold on to him, and Erceg was able to work his way back out of it all night. However, earlier in that fifth round, at the start of that fifth round, there was a long exchange up against the cage where Erceg did grab the fence for a second, but there was a long exchange up against the fence where Erceg, he was having a lot of trouble getting out of that position, so I'm surprised that he went to reinitiate it at the end, probably thinking this is a close fight. If I can land a takedown and end up on top, I'll steal the round, much like Aldo did in his fight. Great to see Aldo back, by the way. So Erceg was probably thinking along those lines, went for it, lost it, ended up on bottom. And as the round finished up, it finished up with Pantoja on top doing pitter-patter shots to Erceg. Not a good look in a super close round. And you end up giving the fight to Pantoja. The scorecards, when you go back and look at them, all over the place. I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised that the internet's all over the place. I'm not surprised that everybody who has a platform to give an opinion, whether that's just a phone putting it out there on Twitter or whether it's a channel like this, everyone has got completely different views of this fight. It was one of those fights. It was a damn close fight. And for somebody who was in their fourth fight in the UFC, awesome. Should be ranked the number one contender immediately. Get him one more win and then get him back in there to fight for the title again. Just brilliant. Let's talk about the rest of the card. Jose Aldo. Jose Aldo. So good to see him back. Looked so crisp. Absolutely just shut down Martinez. Shut him down. Like, once Martinez couldn't get his kicks off, Jose Aldo was just able to do whatever he wanted with him. Came out in the crown, left in the crown. Fan-fucking-tastic. It was so good to see him back. Let's get him in there against Sandhagen, and let's get Jose Aldo to win a belt, and then we can all put him on our GOAT list. He can be somewhere in the top 5 with the greatest MMA fighters of all time. I'm not even kidding. He deserves to be up there. If he ends up coming back, getting a belt at an undisclosed age, 41, 42, whatever he made up, he says he's 37. He's not. So if we can get a belt around him, he goes down as one of the GOATs, for sure. Phenomenal. What else do we want to talk about? Oh, Michel Pereira. Oh my God. Michael Pereira. Michel Pereira, who cares? I'm so bad at saying the names. The stoppage, right? The flip stoppage, knee to the face. So many people all over the MMA world are talking about how that was clearly a knee to the face, but they don't really care. It was a sick fight and a sick stoppage. That sort of sums up the UFC and where we are today in the world of MMA, especially in the UFC, so well. If there was a supercomputer that took all the information from the fights and just scored the fights and the rule sets and worked off meritocracy, you'd have Bilal Muhammad fighting for a title, you'd have John Jones fighting Tom Aspinall, and you would have Miguel Pereira getting disqualified for that. He did a flip, the knee landed on the upper shoulder, but then also landed on the head, and then that led to a finishing sequence. He should be disqualified. But no, everyone is saying, and I agree, I don't care. Like, everyone is saying, yeah, but it's cooler this way. So just fuck the rules. And that's just UFC at this point to a T. Like, yeah, but this part's cooler, so let's go with this one. Everyone gets so upset over, like, Erceg maybe getting robbed. I don't think he did, but people get so upset over the littlest things, and they're just, this one, yeah, whatever. There's another moment like that, Mektik Orabai. They took a point off him mid-fight. Like, they didn't stop at all. Usually, you're meant to be like, hey, do that again, I'm taking a point. They didn't grab the fence again, because it's MMA, it's the UFC. You're meant to get 2 or 3 or 5 fence grabs. If you're Sean O'Malley, you can win an entire fight just by grabbing the fence. So it really does depend what mood your referee's in. And it's just good practice to give every UFC fighter 3 or 4 fence grabs, 1 or 2 eye pokes, and a kick to the nuts before you start taking any points away. Not this time. Not this time with Mektik Orabai. Didn't even inform him that he was taking a point away. Barely informed the crowd. Like, he did it behind the screen like this. If you weren't listening to the commentary, you wouldn't have known that he took a point away. It would have just looked like the referee was going, what's over there? Oh, look, another empty seat. So, yeah, the card was full of moments like that. We had a stoppage because of a cut leg. Don't understand it. Even people were saying it could lead to a break. How does bleeding lead to a break? Then later it came out that, the leg was fractured. You don't know that in the ring when you're stopping a fight, mid-fight. You don't know if it's fractured. You just know that there's a lot of blood. So strange. So strange. So, yeah, Pereira should have been disqualified for that, but he wasn't, and it's cooler this way, and that's the ultimate fighting circus. That's where we are. Whatever's cooler, that's what we'll go with, I guess. Paul Craig is a horrible MMA fighter in 2024. Just horrible. I know. If you're walking on the streets, Doug, and Paul Craig sees you, he could put you in an armbar. He's better than you, Doug. You're just a YouTuber. Da-da-da-da-da. I know. Can we talk about an athlete in a sport for a second without dumb people having to say, well, if you can't do it, you have no place to criticize? Listen, okay? I don't know how to cook the best food in the world, but I know when food tastes bad, right? Paul Craig is a professional UFC MMA athlete, and he's bad at it. He's really, really bad at it. Put him in there with, what was the last Gracie that we saw in the UFC? When he came over and all he did was butt scoot the entire time. That's where he goes. Basic level jiu-jitsu in 2024 in any top division does not belong. And Paul Craig is a basic bitch. He just throws out wild leg kicks like he's a kid playing UFC on the controller and just button mashing. Then, like, hopes to God that he gets a limb and somehow flukes yet another submission like he has done to get him to this point. And you cannot make an entire career off fluking submissions. Paul Craig is a horrible MMA athlete. His striking is garbage. His chin is in the air. He just assumes that if the other guy doesn't know jiu-jitsu and he gets lucky, he'll win a fight. You cannot build a career off that. Paul Craig, it's fun to watch your walkouts. It's not that fun for you to be in the UFC. You're not even a name anymore. Fire Paul Craig immediately. Fire him. I'm sorry. I'm sure he's a great guy. I'm sure he's an awesome person to be around. Great lad, good family man. But as a MMA athlete, he's very, very bad. Very, very bad. Speaking of very, very bad, Anthony Smith. Anthony Smith. I know I didn't say in my prediction video that Anthony Smith was going to win, but almost the moment that I finished that prediction video, I switched and I was like, I feel like Anthony Smith is going to win. I feel like Anthony Smith has got to win here. And he did. He did win. Amazing work. But he won. Anthony Smith. Anthony Smith. Amazing work, right? I mean, he won because Vitor Petrino, Vitor didn't try at all. Like, look, Anthony Smith is not a championship level fighter. He's not a top 5 level fighter, but he is a good fighter. Okay, let's give him at least that much credit. And Vitor Petrino barely got a win against Anton Turkalj and then walked out against Anthony Smith like he was the greatest thing to ever happen to MMA. Didn't like tuck his chin, just walked him down. Didn't have his hands up, just walked down Anthony Smith. And Anthony Smith was like, I'll fucking get you for that. And good on him, good on him. And then he had his little moment with DC where he got to do, there's levels to this. And apparently he even went up to the desk and said, I might still touch gold yet. Yeah. Anthony Smith just proved that, yeah, dude, you're not a bad fighter. Yeah, you deserve to be in the top 10 somewhere. You can hold down anyone outside of the top 10. You are the quintessential gatekeeper. But the moment that Anthony Smith gets a win in the UFC, he instantly goes to, well, I can be a champion. If I can get a win, I can be a champion. Like, no, dude, Alex Pereira kicks the living shit out of you. Kicks the living shit out of you. Punches the living shit out of you, Anthony. Slow your roll. I know you hate MMA YouTubers. I know you hate the fans. I know the moment you get a win, you see a belt wrapped around your waist. You're a very, very good gatekeeper. A very, very good gatekeeper. I was thinking about doing a pound-for-pound gatekeeper list. Anthony Smith is going to be right up there, okay? Very good gatekeeper. Not a champion. Never going to be a champion, but good on you. Fun to watch the. Overall, UFC 301. A lot of people going into this card saying it was a dog shit pay-per-view, worst pay-per-view of all time. Not at all. Fun pay-per-view. Really, really good to watch. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Solid 7 out of 10, even with the Aussies getting the shit kicked out of them. I will say, never ever go to Brazil. Stop going to Brazil. Either charge them way more money, like we in the West are getting charged $700 US for the very back row. I don't know what they're charging for ticket pricing in Brazil. It's not nearly enough because the arena was half empty all the way till the pay-per-view started. And then during the pay-per-view, the arena still looked half empty. I went back and watched the Erceg Pantoja fight a couple of times. There is a moment at the start of round 5 where the camera sweeps through the stadium, sweeps through the road, and you can see red seats empty all over the place. They're either charging too much money and people can't afford to go to the event in Brazil, or they're not charging enough money and the people that are buying the tickets don't give a shit about the event and just aren't rocking up. It's so weird to see. I understand that we have a massive Brazilian fan base in MMA, but don't go there for like 6 or 7 years. Get them really, really starving for an MMA event to get over there. Really, like, starve them. Get them hungry. And then in like 2032, go back. The UFC's coming back to Brazil. And then the crowd might appreciate it. Because every time we go there, the Brazilians just do not care that the UFC is there. It's either too expensive or not expensive enough. I'm not sure whichever one it is. Fuck it. Fix it, UFC. Fix it by starving them out. Don't go there anymore. They don't deserve it. UFC 301, it was really good. Let me know what you thought down in the comments. What would you rate it out of 10? Did you think the main event was a robbery? Do you think Anthony Smith will ever win a title? If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We're nearly at the ultimate 1,000 subs. Very excited for that. And of course, I will see you all in the next video.